Good afternoon. In this lesson, we'll discuss how to perform vector addition. To add vector A to vector B, we simply move vector A so that the tail of the vector aligns with the head of vector B. Then we create a new vector that connects the tail of vector B to the head of vector A. That resultant vector is the sum of the two individual vectors, so we call it vector R. In order to calculate the magnitude and direction of vector R, we must remember the law of cosines and the law of sines. The law of cosines uses the lengths of two sides and the angle between them to calculate the length of the side opposite the angle in a triangle. The law of sines tells us that the ratio of a side to the sine of the angle opposite it is consistent throughout a triangle. In our example, if the angle that vector B makes to the horizontal is 15 degrees, and the angle that vector A makes with the vertical is 10 degrees, then the angle between the two is 65 degrees. If we complete the parallelogram, we can get the other angles and find that the angle between vector A and vector B is 115 degrees. Now we can employ the law of cosines and sines to determine the magnitude and direction of vector R. If vector B has a magnitude of 15 pounds, and vector A has a magnitude of 10 pounds, we can input those as A and B and use the angle between them of 115 degrees in the law of cosines to determine that the magnitude of vector R is 21.3 pounds. With the law of sines, we can calculate the angle between vectors B and R and determine that angle to be 25.2 degrees. Adding that to the 15 degrees between vector B and the horizontal tells us that vector R is 40.2 degrees from the horizontal. We now have the magnitude and direction of the resultant vector when we added vector A to vector B.